Hello everybody, you're listening to WPCX, that's 97.1 FM in Clinton, South Carolina on the campus of Presbyterian College. Oh, no, we're good.
Okay.
We're good, you're fine. Yeah, alright. Sorry, audio problems a little bit. So my name is Brennan Carroll, you're listening to Community Climate. This is my co-host, McHenry Brewer, and you might notice we have somebody new here today. I teased it a little bit on Current Climate, but welcome, Rick Shealy. Everybody say hi in the chat if you're using it. This is Rick Shealy. He's running for District 14 state rep. He's running against Luke Rankin, and I figured we had Luke Rankin here at the station. Not us. Somebody else had Luke Rankin over at the station a week or so ago, and I figured we should have all perspectives on the station. So, welcome.
Thank you.
So I guess we just start with I guess you could just introduce yourself. Where.
Certainly. My name is Rick Shealy, and I'm running for House District 14 State House of Representatives, representing Lawrence County in the State House. I've been involved in Republican politics probably the last 10 years. I've been serving here the last 5 years as the Lawrence County State Executive Committee man, which we go to Columbia and oversee the South Carolina Republican Party. We're responsible for determining everything from disputes within counties to when we're going to have a presidential election, or presidential primaries, rather, and how much we charge presidential candidates. But you didn't know we charged, this last cycle, we charged the presidential candidates $50,000 just to file in South Carolina.
No way, okay, I didn't know that.
We try to take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah.
But we're going to be hosting, starting next month, we're going to be hosting the gubernatorial debates. There's going to be 4 different debates starting in Myrtle Beach, Coastal Carolina, then College Charleston, then Wofford, and ending up, if we have a runoff in the governor's race, which we more than likely will, we'll end up at the Newberry Opera House in June.
Nice.
So that's all part of what we do, and great opportunity participating in that to meet folks from around the state in the Republican Party who are, all of them are involved in politics. Some are former legislators. Others come out of there and go to the State House, either as State Senate. We've had one gentleman from Darlington County win a State Senate seat, and now I'm running for the House of Representatives.
Yeah, good deal.
So, it's been a lot of fun, but I've gotten tremendous, just really unbelievable support from the community to run for this office. I have a lot of experience in business and politics, so I think I would do the best job in Columbia for Lawrence County.
Yeah. So, what motivates you, or I guess, in a more specific sense, what encouraged you to get out here and run for office, this office in particular?
Well, I'm not a political climber. I'm not using politics as a stepping stone. I enjoy serving. I enjoy working with people, helping people, and I was talking about my involvement in the Republican Party. I had so many friends and colleagues say, "Rick, you need to run. You need to run for the House. You would do a great job, and you would bring the experience that Lawrence County needs to the State House." A little bit of background, graduate from College Charleston. I started my own business in my parents' garage when I was in my early 20s, and grew it to over 70 people. Of course, I had to move in my parents' garage, but they built a big building in West Columbia, and we did work all over the country, and sold it in 2012, and been farming in Lawrence County ever since. So I have a business background, successful businessman, knows how to make a payroll, knows how to finance things, knows how to make things work and make it efficient. And that's what we really need in Columbia, is some efficiency.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a revenue problem in Columbia, we have a spending problem. And if we can cut spending, then we're going to be able to completely eliminate income tax in this state.
Yeah. Have you done work with Doge SC? Because I know they were talking about cutting spending a lot too.
I have not specifically worked with them, but I was doing that kind of thing here in Lawrence County even before they got started. In fact, back when Stuart Jones was in county council, Stuart told me that they had over 100 credit cards floating around, among county employees. And I said, what? And he said, yeah. I said, have you ever looked at those monthly statements? And he said, no. I said, let me look at them. So I went through Freedom of Information. We got the 3 years worth of credit card statements.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Wow. And, in my company, we had probably 15 or 20 credit cards. And, when a monthly statement comes in, it only takes, a few minutes to go through there, and you can kind of see what's legit and what's not. So within a short period of time, I was seeing charges to where county employees, multiple county employees, were going to Myrtle Beach to medieval times, spending $250.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What is medieval times? I just don't know.
It's a nightclub, but it's entertainment and dinner and that kind. I haven't been, but
it's leisure basically.
It's leisure. We had one county employee, obviously a golfer. He was going to the Myrtle Beach. I think Myrtle Beach Golf Resort every month during the winter and spring, when the big golfing season down in Myrtle Beach, January, February, March, April, and charging it on the county credit card.
Oh boy.
The charges to Walmart were unbelievable, and they had no idea what it's for. They knew the employee that was there. They knew what the amount was that was being charged, but they had no idea what they were buying. And pretty much at any one time, there's 2 or 3 county employees over there at Walmart buying stuff. Now, anything that they're buying is your guess.
That's crazy, and all on the taxpayer's dime.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they reined that in, and they're now putting that. I think it's you can access it online. But that's Doge at work right there. That's the kind of thing that Elon Musk did on the federal level. They were going in and looking at, and the county administrator at the time, I said, John, why don't you look at these? He said, I don't have time. I said, it only takes 15, 20 minutes to go through your monthly statement. He said, I don't have time. So that's a problem. And they all had another thing over there. I was not directly involved in this. This was mainly Stuart Jones and Brendan Stewart were involved in finding the telephone line to nowhere, which was, I believe it was resulted in $35,000 every year charged to the county. That it was for a special EMS type telephone line that was from either 70s or 80s that nobody had really even realized existed. And, and back in those days, it was a tremendous charge, a monthly charge, and they just kind of slipped through the cracks there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So Stuart Jones stopped that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's occurring even at the county level. So that's why, within counties and states and federal government, you have to be vigilant, because when you spend other people's money, you don't care about it like you would care about your own money.
Yeah.
But you have to look at it as your own money. And people just accept the fact that our taxes are so high. Well, why are they so high? It's because spending is so high.
Yeah.
Huge misuse of funds.
Right.
Yeah. How are you feeling about? I heard there were some investigations in terms of warrants at the city, investigations at the mayor and some city councilmen.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been involved in that. I think that, certainly if there's smoke, there's got to be fire, as the old saying goes.
Yeah.
So that needs to be looked into.
Yeah, it's some interesting allegations. I'm on the same boat as you. I haven't looked into it too much, so I didn't want to report on it here, but yeah. So what got you started into politics in general? Just,
I didn't like paying high taxes. It just seemed like our taxes were too high, and the national debt just continues to rise, and it's still continuing to this day. We're spending money we don't have. The generation before me and my generation, you guys are going to have a tremendous burden to deal with. Right now I think we're at, $38 trillion in debt. And that's only what's actually on the books. What is the unfunded mandate? Like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those kind of things. Some people estimate it's another $60, $100 trillion. So how are we going to deal with that? It's at some point, we're going to have to face that. Right now, it's almost like we're using our MasterCard to pay off our Visa kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the United States is not the only country in this kind of situation. China's also facing a lot of financial issues, but we have overspent tremendously, and you hear about the waste, the fraud in Minnesota, and now I'm hearing that California is so much worse. It's always something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be really a burden on the country in the future. It's going to hurt our growth. It's going to hurt our ability to maintain our defense, which is really the reason for the federal government in the first place.
Yeah. I heard that we're spending, just to pay off our interest, we're spending about $1 trillion, right? Correct, yearly.
It's more than what we're spending on defense.
Yeah, for defense we're only spending $800 billion. I think.
Yeah, it's to service the debt. Now, to keep this in perspective, they didn't start the income tax did not become a permanent tax until 1913. So, in the history of the United States, we've had more years without a federal income tax than we have had with the federal income tax. So, all that, prior to 1913, now there was I think a year or so in there where they did have an income tax for the Civil War, but that only lasted a year or two. But there was never. They used tariffs to pay off the needs of the federal government.
So, what do you think kind of causes people to be content with taxation in terms of, like, in the past where when the government says something's temporary, it actually was temporary, whereas now when a tax gets implemented, it appears that even though it's proposed as temporary, it ends up lasting for a lifetime.
Yeah. Well, and you're exactly right. It's the kind of the situation of the, cooking the frog in the pot of water. You can heat him up and he doesn't jump out because it feels good, and all the next thing he knows is he's dead,
Yeah.
And that's kind of the situation we're in, is that, we're sitting here now. You feel the national debt? I don't feel the national debt. Taxes seem like what they've always been, and really that's kind of true. They haven't increased our tax rate, but this debt is just out there accumulating and building, and so it's going to start to impact, the national economy, if not already. So I know President Trump wants to try to grow the country out of the debt, using tariffs as part of it. And, things are, in your lifetime, you're going to see big changes with automation, robots. Elon Musk is turning 2 of his Tesla factories in California into Optimus factories to build.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, the robots. I mean, that's going to be a big deal. This whole argument about we need to bring in immigrants to, pick the peaches in South Carolina or tomatoes in Georgia or whatever, or Florida. Well, you're going to have Optimus that's going to be out there doing that. So we're not going to need immigrants in here for that.
It's automation is very fascinating. Just like the rate at which we're kind of growing. It feels like it appeared out of nowhere almost. Not completely out of nowhere. Of course, I've seen videos and things about these robots before, like Boston Dynamics. They're like they like pushing that stuff. But I guess it's just been so. There's just been a surge, I guess, in interest, and maybe that's why now it's all over the news and everything, and it is fascinating for like the prospects of just like what's society going to be like? I feel like we haven't had so much industrial progress since the Industrial Revolution, and
right.
we have no idea what's going to happen. So, what are your thoughts about just like how we're progressing and everything else?
Well, we're going to continue development in these areas for sure, and we're going to see vast improvements. I think vast improvements in medicine, certainly in labor. But where does that leave us as a society? What does it do to the family structure? Countries like South Korea, Japan, they're not reproducing anymore. I mean, they're populated. This is a shocking fact, and it won't be long if we continue down that same path before we see it in the United States. They sell more adult diapers than they do baby diapers
in
Japan.
That is insane. Wow.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's
scary.
Why is that?
Because the replacement rate.
Oh, because
they have more people dying than are being born, and
I've heard that.
And their population's
They're
aging.
just not having kids.
And various reasons. Same way in this country, but that's a real problem. Really is. When I was a freshman at the College of Charleston, one of my classes was in philosophy, and I don't remember too much about philosophy from that class, but what I do remember is the professor made us read and do a report on the population bomb. Now, you probably never heard about that book, but it was by this fella. His last name was Ehrlich, I believe. And on the front of the cover of the book, it had a bomb with a baby sitting there. And the idea was that, within 10 years, 20 years, we're going to basically be out of food. Our population is going to be so large, we're not going to be able to sustain it. And he had all these statistics in there about how, the population is going to double in X amount of years and this kind of thing. And probably some of that has come true, but you don't see mass starvation. And the reason why is because we're able to produce so much more food.
Yeah.
We're so much more efficient at producing food. And in this country, we have tremendous amount of unused land. And we can go crazy producing food here if we really had to. If there was a market for it, we could really do so much more. Go to Israel. Israel is a country that they're utilizing all the land over there. It's just amazing to see what they do. It's really fascinating.
Such a small country.
Yeah, orchards here, farms, a different kind of farm here, row crops here. It's beautiful the way they just utilize everything there. we didn't, you know, thank goodness we didn't ever reach that point that was predicted in the population bomb. Now that guy is still alive. He's in his 90s, and I think he's still, you know, trying to scare everyone. You know, it goes back to, you know, Al Gore back in, what was it, 2001 or something like that.
Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah.
So you're talking about that documentary?
Yeah. Saying that, you know, by 2010 or 2015, New York City is going to be under 10 feet of water, you know, this kind of thing. And you know, scare tactics. But
it's pretty crazy. What do you think? Oh, so I'm gonna propose, I guess, a theory, I guess, and you know, let me know how much you agree with this. But what I've noticed is that with all of this like apocalyptic kind of like predictions, I'm putting that in air quotes. You guys can't see me, but with these predictions, these end time predictions, so to speak, it's always like, you know, we're gonna be overpopulated, don't have kids, you know. It's like, and I think that's partially not just that, but I think that's a big factor in why people don't have children, because, you know, they're looking at the world around them and they're seeing people like screaming about how you know, I mean, it's sort of like a good example, I think, or a good parallel was the Essenes in around the Dead Sea. They were a group of Jewish people that fled during the Maccabean Revolution, I believe. Right. They fled, and they thought the end was going to come soon, so they didn't reproduce, because why bother? The end's coming. Which is why there was a lot, you know, they all they did constantly, they would just wrote Old Testament, they just copied Old Testament. They didn't reproduce, and a lot of them ended up getting wiped out. Well, a lot of them ended up getting wiped out before there was a whole nother thing with the Romans, but that's irrelevant. But, you know, I feel like that's sort of what's happening to our country, where, you know, people are scared of having children because they're hearing, you know, it's the end of the world one way or another. Either financially the country's going to fall, or the climate, or, you know, just food shortage, everything.
Right. Well, you know, I have two sons. They're adult sons, and I have two granddaughters. I regret not having more children. You know, I've known people that have had, you know, 6 or 7 children, and that truly is a blessing. And I would certainly encourage, you know, people to have more children, because children are one of, even though you go through difficult times with children. I mean, I never will forget this woman in church one Sunday. I was holding my son, excuse me, when he was probably about 1 or 2, and she said, "Oh, when they're that age, they're so cute, and when they get to be teenagers, you wish you'd just eat them up, you know, because it just drives you crazy." And yeah, they can be tough. They can go through tough periods, but I tell you, it's part of life, and that's one regret I have, is not having more children. And I hope I have many more grandchildren. I really do. You know, they're expensive. They can drive you crazy, but you know, especially as you get older, you know, you really appreciate having children.
I think so. I had a. So I heard, like, back in the day they had classes in school where you would have an assignment and you'd have to take care of a child, but it's not really a child, like a simulated thing. And there, you know, just things like that. They had like home ec and stuff like that. Do you think that contributed to the population, like to an increase in the population back then, and the removal of that, what is contributing to the decline now?
No, I think there are a number of factors contributing to the decline in population. I think people just become more self-centered. You know, when I was in school, there was just a common feeling. I want to go out and make the world a better place. I want to save the world kind of thing. I don't know if that exists anymore, does it? I mean, do you see that? Do you feel that?
Well, no, I have a lot of hope. I think Gen Z. I think I see a lot of that. Even people that I do disagree with. I still see this, like, there's still a sense of, like, I still want to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is of course speculation. I don't have, just anecdotally speaking, it appears that millennials kind of had this had a different view of the world, and I don't know if it's self-centered or what it is, but it's a bit less. I think growing up on the internet and stuff like that, there's, like, without getting completely used to it, there's still, like, a level of immaturity, I guess, because they're Gen Z. I was sort of, I wouldn't say raised on the internet, but I was raised with the internet, and so I'm able to kind of moderate myself, and there's no stunted growth.
Right.
We've learned how to use, well, again, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I think generally it's a dichotomy, really. Generally, there's those who have adapted to the internet and things like that, and who use it to their advantage, and those who kind of get trapped in this sort of brain rot cycle, and they kind of let the algorithm feed their views and their mind, really. So I think what we're seeing is the people that don't really care, they're just not involved in the process, which ultimately that means the people you have left are the people that do care, and I think that's really just, I think that's what it is, really. I think it's the people that care. I think they're going to do a good job.
Right.
I hope they're going to do a good job.
I do too. Yeah. Well, I think that the internet certainly has changed society, and I am concerned about Western civilization. There's talk now about the golden thread. Is the golden thread about to break? And what is the golden thread? The golden thread is the knowledge of what has happened in Western civilization has been passed down through the generations. And if that's broken, by misinformation, disinformation, that Western civilization is not good, then we're in a real bad position. Western civilization is the best civilization that's ever existed. Look at all the accomplishments of Western civilization.
Yeah. And that's another thing about our generation too that I do like, is that you still have some people from, like, that they're more apologetic, but I think there's really just a comeback of, like, you can say whatever you want, I don't really care, where it's more of a, there's like an apathy to the name calling, in a sense. Someone calls someone else racist, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I remember when I first started doing the show, they were calling me Nazis, and then someone sent me a screenshot, and I showed my parents, and I was laughing about it, but they were not very happy about it. I was like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. To me, it doesn't mean anything anymore, right? And I think it's just because, partially due to the the era before us, where everybody's being called Nazis, everybody's being called racist, everybody's being called everything, and so it's sort of, you just get desensitized. Yeah, you just get desensitized to it, and it doesn't really, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's, nobody really cares about name calling now. We're just focusing on, like, what really makes sense. What are we?
Do you think though that is maybe what's powering people like Tucker Carlson? He's talking about, he praises Vladimir Putin and Russia. Do you think that's, because they are so uniform, and you don't see that over there like you do over here, and you think it's a desire to get back to more structured type of society, that we've gone too far?
I think so. I think really, I think it is a bit, like with the Tucker Carlson thing. I personally, I think a bit of it is just, he's really capturing an audience and trying to kind of, like, put them into a dichotomy of sorts, when really we just need to take our own side. Like, as America, we need to take our own side.
Right.
We don't need to be Russia. We don't need to be China. We don't need to be Iran. We don't need to be Ukraine. We don't need to be Israel. We just need to be America.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're Americans. We're not, you know. So really, I'm not a big fan of, you know, I guess I can sort of see the point with the structure in Russia and stuff like that. And I would say that maybe we don't need to be as hostile towards Russia, but I don't think we need to emulate them or you know, follow their lead, so to speak.
Right.
I just think we, you know, with everybody, I think there's some things you can learn and some things you can kind of take from people and some things you can, you know, learn as a bad example of what not to do, right?
Right.
So I just think that's my take on it, really.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can take something and learn what not to do.
Yeah, what not to do and what to do. You know, if you like something about someone, you can take the positive without.
Yeah.
You know.
What you said about the internet, you were saying that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Real quick, I have to do my show ID. So, just a quick reminder, you're listening to 97.1 FM, that's WPCX in Clinton, South Carolina, the campus of Presbyterian College. And I also forgot to do our disclaimer, which I was supposed to do at the beginning of the show, so that the school doesn't get sued or something. So, real quick, this program is produced by students at Presbyterian College in Clinton, South Carolina. Views and opinions expressed on the station are those of student producers do not necessarily reflect those official views of the college. Thank you for listening. Okay, we're good now. Sorry, continue.
No, it's all good. You were saying about how the internet has changed. And then you were saying about, you know, like the problem with like people buying into one whole script of like, they keep getting fed the same thing on the internet. They just believe everything that sort of like whole agenda believes or whatever. I think maybe AI is a good counter to social media because if you put a prompt into AI or you use AI, it searches dozens and dozens of sources to give you a response.
Yeah.
Whereas like social media, you could have somebody, you could see something on the internet, some random person could be saying they could just be completely making stuff up.
Right.
And once you like one of those things, you get a bunch of other things like that.
Yeah.
And it could just be like very, like what you said about Western civilization. Like, you know, if you have constantly on your social media, it's people telling you about how America's bad or America doesn't do this or this country's better than America or just all this anti-American, anti-West kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
You're just gonna keep getting fed that on the internet.
Yeah.
But like AI maybe is more balanced, maybe more real, less like all from this deep end.
Yeah, I think with the,
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just thinking because like I know with AI it searches like a bunch of different places.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like, you know, who knows what you're gonna get on social media, right?
Yeah. My advice would be to get off the internet or limit your exposure to social media and get out in the real world.
I agree.
Like you guys are doing. I mean, you know, go to political events, whether you're a liberal or conservative. You know, go to political events, find out what's really going on, decide for yourself, and get involved in politics. You know, no one hardly wants to run for school board. You know, school board is an extremely important position. School board, county council. We have 2 friends on county council right now, and they're doing a great job. You know, Lawrence County has the youngest county council in South Carolina. And with Matthew and Justin and, you know, Jeff Carroll, he's not that old. And Brown Patterson, you know, Brown's not too old. But the others aren't either. But I think the young people were encouraged by Stuart Jones.
Yeah.
Stuart Jones sort of kicked in the door for young people. You know, he broke the old boy, old girl system down, you know, where he got on county council and did well. He was a rock star on county council. Then he went to the House of Representatives, and that's encouraged others to follow, and that's great. Yeah, we need more of that. So I would definitely encourage the listeners to look at going to events, both here and wherever you're from, to get involved.
Yeah.
Public service should be an important part of what we all do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get involved in your political parties. There's a lot that can be done there as well.
Do you think there's like a problem, people being hesitant to do that because they kind of like still kind of like that cancel culture kind of environment? People don't want to associate with this because they don't want these people to know they're associated with this, and that's why people aren't getting out into the public and going to political events and things like that. Do you think that's part of it? Or?
I do, yeah. Unfortunately, I think social media drives a lot of hate.
Yeah.
And makes enemies of people that are not your enemy, And, the bottom line is we're all humans. We have to live together, so we might as well get along, I'm really disheartened by what's going on in Minnesota. I'm glad, it's not going on here in South Carolina.
Yeah.
It is really it's a bad situation. And those ICE officers, they are just trying to do their job, trying to enforce the law. And you have to respect the law. You might not like the law. That's why you get involved in politics and you change the laws.
Yeah.
If you don't like them.
Yeah.
But you don't try to bash the police officer's head in or hurt him.
Standing in front of cars trying to push him the
Right,
other way.
right, yeah.
It's reckless, brainless behavior like that.
Exactly. That's you're not invincible. You can be seriously hurt and impaired for life.
Yeah.
Don't do something stupid.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah.
That's a good quote.
Vote for me. Don't do something stupid.
Just make that your bumper sticker.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what?
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I hope I can get you guys involved in my political campaign. As door knockers, as going out there spreading the word. We want to reduce spending, cut spending, and you go to zero tax. They're playing footsies with the income tax right now in South Carolina, and we can do away with it. I want to ask you guys a question. How do you feel about exploration of offshore oil and gas off the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina?
Like offshore drilling?
Well, I'm just talking about exploration.
Okay.
Right now, they think there's something out there. They don't know how much.
Okay.
They don't know exactly what. It could be natural gas, could be oil.
Well, my next question is how much does it cost to go out there and see what's out there?
Well, I think that wouldn't be the state's responsibility.
Okay.
It would be the oil companies.
Yeah.
They would want to go out there and see what's out there. Right now, the governor has opposed any oil and gas exploration just even looking for it. Now, the first thing that pops in everybody's minds are the oil rigs that you see. No one wants that. No one wants to see one. I don't want to see one. I would never vote for one. What if it's something under the surface? My understanding is that you can extract natural gas with pipeline on the floor of the ocean with extraction points that you don't see. Right now, natural gas is seeping out of the ocean floor into the ocean.
On all of that, I almost always think the same thing, which is just I think energy is so important. I think like anything that we can do, anything that like oil companies and the countries do to make it easier to get oil and natural gas and everything that keeps the world running like that.
Right.
I'm all for energy independence.
Right.
You know, I think like I am not in favor of, you know, restrictive like net zero kind of policies that make it harder to get the stuff that makes everything
Right.
possible. And I don't think people realize how much we need that. I don't really, everything people do is because of either oil or natural gas or critical minerals.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
literally everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't really know a lot about it. I don't really know, like, a lot about oil extraction and processing plants and all of that. I don't really know a whole lot, but I do know that we need it.
Mhm.
Right? I know that. I know we need it. And so, since we all need it, and why make it harder to get it, and why not take opportunities?
Mhm.
I think go for it. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's my opinion.
Well, certainly exploration. I'd like to know what's out there.
Yeah,
You know, the
absolutely.
public has a right to know what's available.
Exploration, absolutely.
Yeah. You know, like I said before, I would never vote for a oil rig within visual range of the coast of South Carolina. You know, maybe natural gas. It'd be interesting just to see what's out there.
Yeah.
And but the public should decide. You know, if it can eliminate, you know, all of our taxes. You know, the other big tax out there is the property tax. And you know, when you graduate from college, you're going to get a job and you're going to buy a house. It's going to have a 30-year mortgage on there. And how old will you be? 25 when you graduate from college and graduate school, and
Yeah.
and
I think so, yeah.
yeah, and so you got add 30 years on there. Okay, you'll be 55 years old. You've worked for 30 years and paying off this mortgage. And once you get your mortgage paid off, let's say you have a tragic event. God forbid, you have a tragic event. You no longer have an income. This house you paid off, every year you're going to get a pretty hefty property tax bill from the county. If you can't pay it off, they're going to take your house away from you and auction it off. Is that fair?
No, not at all.
In other words, you never own that house. Who owns that house? Who owns that property?
Government.
Government owns it. Yeah, you're basically paying an annual rental fee to the government for that house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not right, is it?
No, not at all.
And but yet we're the frog in the water, you know, where the water's heating up, and we just accept it. So I say, you know, they're talking about looking at that now. I'm totally in favor. I'm just I would fight tooth and nail to try to eliminate property tax. And it's the same way with your automobile. You know, you get what, a 5-year payment plan on an automobile. I mean, if you don't pay your property tax on the automobile, they can take it away.
Yeah.
So you never own that automobile, do you?
I'm actually just like I'm learning about this stuff like this semester because I'm in a real estate class. So learning about all. It's not really like your property, you know. Like it really is like you said, you're paying a rental fee to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how pervasive taxes have become. Fees everywhere. You know, if you buy a boat, you got to have a tax on your boat. You got to have a tax on the motor. On the
Really?
boat. Yeah. Separate tax.
What's the justification for that one?
Well, they
Pollution or something?
no, it's we want more money. You know. You know, it just goes on and on. The different fees and taxes and that kind of thing. So a lot of times they call them fees rather than taxes, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
I have a different question for you, aside from taxes, just about like the area. What do you think, like, how do you think Lawrence County and like this general area is doing with, like, I mean, do you think there's a real problem with crime and drug trade and, like, you know, just in general poverty? Like, do you think that this area struggles with that a lot?
Well, they do struggle with poverty. You know, I'm not really qualified to answer the drug problem or the crime problem, but I would imagine that we have a very good sheriff here in Lawrence County,
Yeah.
Don Reynolds. He's done a fantastic job. You know, there is going to be crime. I mean, I know Joanna, right down the road, has a higher crime rate than, say, Clinton. There's certain areas of Clinton, you know, that are. I know there are maps online you can look at that shows where crimes occur, that kind of thing. I've never had a problem with crime in Lawrence County, but you know, I'm sure, I know there are people that do, because you read about it in the newspaper all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think that if we get back to more, you know, civil discourse, you know, that helps a lot. But I think, you know, people become so dependent on government. If you had to get a job, you know, and didn't have to depend on government assistance, you know, you'd probably, you know, be a better citizen. You know, you probably would appreciate that job. And that's one thing I've noticed over the years, is that people used to appreciate their job more. You know, they felt like a lot of times they would only have one job their entire life. You know, I know my father, he worked for Nabisco all his adult life, and retired from Nabisco, and that was not uncommon. You know, and you know, people would go to work in a company and they would stay there, and they felt you know, obligation to do the best they possibly could, and they never wanted to get anywhere near put themselves in a position where they may you know, be fired. You know, that was almost like you're being shot or something. I mean, back in the day. You know, so you know, I think that the appreciation for, you know, what you have, and you know, doing the best job possible.
Yeah.
That would definitely take the crime rate down. Now, how do we accomplish that? I don't know. Without a spiritual revival, you know, that would make a huge difference.
The reason I was asking is just like, so like I work like part-time over in like Lawrence, and like, I don't know, every time I go over there, like between here and on the way there and when I'm there, like, I don't know, things just look kind of rough. Like, people drive cars with bumpers just missing, headlights broken, and just seeing the people, you know, I work in like the church, like, so like people that come in sometimes, like, it's just like really rough.
Yeah.
It's just like on the way back from Clinton to Lawrence, you look on the side of the road and there's like, you know, houses basically like falling apart. Just empty lots, overgrown, you know, grass on empty lots, or abandoned buildings. It looks a little rough. That's why I'm like, I'm just wondering. I guess there used to be a big textile industry. And then that is not there anymore, I guess. What's behind all that?
Well, you know, I think that's probably true across American society. I mean, you know, you see people going into the store wearing pajamas now, you know, and that kind of thing. People are not, they don't have pride in themselves or what they're doing, you know, and that's society. I mean, no politician can turn that around. You know, no matter what law they come up with, it has to be from within. And you know, that's it's been going on for quite a while, and hopefully it'll change. You know, I think men are starting to dress nicer. You know, I mean, it's important. It really is, and you know, I think that you know, slowly coming back around. So I think, you know, in society, when that fad sort of rolls back in, then you'll start seeing, you know, some improvement of people taking care of their person better.
I guess it's less of a that was less of a political question, more of just like a cultural thing. But
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's related to politics, or I but yeah.
Well, you look at Congress now. Congress is just performative art. You know, it's just up there, you know, screaming and trying to perform for the cameras.
Yeah.
AOC, Nancy Mays, you know, I mean, just go on and on. There's, you know, 20 or 30 you can name. They act like they're so upset, you know, banging on the table, you know, how dare you do this? And then, you know, you don't see them out in the hall there shaking hands.
Yeah.
Good job. It's performance art.
It is unfortunate. Do you think we'll ever get back to like a more genuine form of politics, or do you think it's always going to be as performative as it is now?
Well, I think bottom line is America has the best system of government. Certainly not perfect. There's a lot that can be changed. But our founders, they were genius in what they did. I mean, they were very well educated. They looked at what the Greeks did, the democracy in Greece, you know, and saw the problems. They saw the good part about it, and they saw the bad part about it. They took Roman Republic, saw the same thing, you know, what was good about it, what was bad, and other cultures that they looked at, and they sort of blended that into you know, what they developed for the United States. And you know, it's not perfect, but it is certainly the best. And that's why we're so successful. That and capitalism, you know, you combine that system of government with American capitalism, and you have the greatest nation that the world's ever seen. You know, that's why they're flooding in here, trying to get in here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny, some of these celebrities that, you know, left the United States because of Donald Trump, or, you know, whatever they didn't like, they're starting to come back now. They didn't stay too long, did they? In Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Europe, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They seem like they're in really bad shape.
Oh, England. You know, I went to London. The first trip I made to London was in the 80s, and very safe.
Yeah.
Very, it was just wonderful. It was like being in Disneyland or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just so nice. And now is you know, with all the problems they got over there.
Yeah.
Same way in Paris. You know, now Rome is that way, but a lot of the, you know, Italians are generally more conservative, culturally conservative, and I think they fare better. But and the Swiss are that way as well. But yeah, they got some real problems in Europe.
Yeah, I know, and at least I know in England and Germany, they're having some really big, like, censorship, like, against, like, free speech.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I heard people in England now can get arrested for, like, an Instagram post.
Yeah.
They even just saying, like, you know, what's the Prime Minister? His name is, Keir Starmer, Keir. It's like, say, Keir Starmer is a dummy, and then jail.
Yeah.
It's like, that's actually kind of what's...
Yeah, they're going after Elon Musk, too, for X.
Some places are trying to ban X.
Yeah. I saw where in England there were 3 English citizens that were sentenced to a longer sentence because they criticized this man that committed sexual assault.
That's crazy.
Then they were sentenced to a longer sentence than what he was.
Wow.
That's insane.
I mean, that's
Holy moly.
that's the decay of society. So there's going to be pushback there. I think there should be pushback.
They need a new prime minister, a new government. I know they have a parliament system, right? They need a new majority.
Yeah.
I think Canada needs a new majority. Canada really needs I've been following them a lot. They really need a conservative majority.
Now they have a couple provinces that want to succeed.
Yeah,
Go.
Alberta wants to secede. I don't think it's actually going to happen though, because they're not getting enough poll support. I would, obviously I'm not Canadian, but I would rather them not secede and then just they get a new government and then the whole country gets better.
Right.
Because if they do secede, they're not going to get a new government, because those are the conservative provinces that want to secede. So
Right.
they're not going to.
Yeah.
If they don't have that support, they're not going to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting world.
Yeah.
It really is. But we need to keep South Carolina strong. South Carolina's good financial shape. We need to keep it that way. And you know, I kind of look at, you know, South Carolina is really a diamond on the hillside. You know, we were the richest colony prior to the Revolution, by far. You know, South Carolina is blessed with, you know, natural wealth, and something about South Carolina that we stand out. And you know, South Carolina needs to lead the country in, I think, reforming our government, reforming our approach to things, and so that, you know, we get turned back to a conservative movement where, you know, once again, we're proud of, you know, have self-pride and pride in, you know, our communities and in our families. You know, that is, we need to you know, remember that first of all, it's, you know, our God that we need to worship, and we need to take care of our families and our communities.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you take care of that, then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for, you know, for coming out and talking to us and everything.
Well, thank you, Brennan, for having me.
Yeah. You can catch Rick Shealy at our Presbyterian College Conservative Club meeting. That'll be tonight at 7. It'll be at the Alpha Sigma Phi Fraternity House. So be sure to, everyone's welcome. Members are strongly encouraged to attend, though, because, you know, your members are supposed to be representing us. But for our final station ID, you know, you're listening to Student Radio 97.1 FM. This WPCX, Clinton, South Carolina, on the campus of Presbyterian College. Again, the opinions disclaimer, have to do it again because it's supposed to be twice for a 1 hour show. So this program is produced by students at Presbyterian College in Clinton, South Carolina. Views and opinions expressed on the station are those of student producers and do not necessarily reflect official opinions of the college. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Community Climate. I've been your host, Brennan Carroll. This has been my guest host, McHenry, or not guest host, co-host, McHenry Brewer. This has been my guest, Rick Shealy. And we'll see you guys next week. Well, or later tonight if you show up.
Awesome. So, were we being, could they watch us there?
No.
Oh, it's recorded.
This is like a...